We had a bunch of schlubby ass like National Guardsmen barely fucking walking through the DC streets with the squeaky tanks in tow. That shit sucked. Why are none of their soldiers fat?
Now to a massive military parade in Beijing witnessed by some of America's most powerful adversaries. China's leader Xi Jinping welcomed Russian President Vladimir Putin and North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un. It is all part of China's quest to become the world's leading military power as the U.S. pulls back from traditional alliances. Anna Koren is in Beijing. Anna, good morning.
Hello, Adriana. As you say, it was a spectacular display of military might and power here in Beijing at that parade. We also saw Beijing showcase its latest military hardware. President Xi Jinping, he said that China was unstoppable.
With the sound of cannons firing across Tiananmen Square, soldiers from the People's Liberation Army goose-stepped in perfect unison, moving as one. This was part of the largest military parade ever to be held in China, marking the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II. Overseeing his troops under a blazing sun, China's President Xi Jinping. Greetings, comrades. You are working hard, he told them.
Yo, this shit's cool as fuck, bro. Actually, I don't give a fuck what people say. This shit is cool as hell. And also, they mocked us. They straight up mocked us, bro. Where's the Crypto.com sponsorship? Where's the Palantir sponsorship? Where's the sponsorship for the Dana White's like favorite energy drink or something? We had a bunch of schlubby ass like National Guardsmen barely fucking walking through the DC streets with the squeaky tanks in tow. That shit sucked. Why are none of their soldiers fat? Comparing the drones at this year's military parades, who wore it better? That's messed up. Oh yeah, I saw the Xi hot mic incident with Vladdy Poo. They got some new tech out there for, I don't know. Remember when I said evil never dies? I think like Vladimir Putin is going to explain to us exactly how. Okay, because he has some choice words about this new kind of technology that I didn't even know existed. No, it's actually crazy.
In the past, people rarely lived longer than 70 years, but today they say that at 70 you are still a child.
Human organs can be continuously transplanted. The longer you live, the younger you become, and can even achieve immortality.
In the past, people rarely lived longer than 70 years.
No, it's not fake. I mean, I don't know if the technology exists or not, but the conversation did take place, and it was caught on hot mic, and only was caught on hot mic because of the translators. The translators were caught on hot mic, not the English translators. That's after the fact. Putin's Chinese translator, Mandarin translator, and Xi Jinping's Russian translator are communicating with one another, and that was caught on hot mic. I'm not exactly sure how this works as far as organ transplants, but it seems like motherfuckers got some way of expanding their lifespan. Go to China and find out. I just don't understand how organ transplants help extend your lifespan. I feel like it's the opposite, right? Like that's a really complex procedure with many different issues, like many different complications, and most likely cuts your lifespan a little bit. Like if you obviously didn't have any medical issue that required an organ transplant, and you had like a shelf life or a lifespan that was, X amount of years, I feel like once you get that transplant, without it, you die. But once you get that transplant, your lifespan is like shorter. I didn't realize you could just like swap organs, just for your fucking body to extend. Yeah, someone said, when you get an organ transplant, you have to be on immunosuppressant medication for the rest of your life. Political commentators on CNN, etc., think that they were not serious and literally were trying to make fun of Trump because of the death scare and him talking about going to heaven. They said it's a dig at Trump because Xi doesn't get caught hot mic unless it's on purpose. Yeah, I can see that. Also, the aura. You got opposition, adversary media propagandists actively saying that you're so sick that you only deliberately get caught on a hot mic. That's aura, baby. Sorry. Like CNN is not in the business of hyping up Xi, but that's what happens. It's basically like giving yourself AIDS to be on immunosuppressant therapy. I just don't understand how this shit would work, and I feel like that doesn't work. So I don't know. Or maybe they got some new tech. Who knows, man?
But today, they say that at 70, you are still a child.
Human organs can be continuously transplanted. The longer you live, the younger you become, and can even achieve immortality.
In the past, people rarely lived longer than 70.
Not if they're growing the organs from your cells. We have the tech to do it. I don't know how that works, man. I'm not even going to begin to entertain this shit. You can grow human organs in a pig host without needing a doctor. What is this? 4.2 million views on TikTok. And it's not even a day. I love this shit. Yeah, when they say, this is the sick thing. Like, comrades, thank you for your hard work. And then they respond. That's what iShowSpeed did too. I think it was in Hong Kong. It is crazy. There was maximum aura, especially when you compare this one, especially when you compare this fucking parade to what we did here. I'm not going to watch the full parade, man. Calm down.
And then it was the unveiling of Beijing's new military hardware, nuclear-armed missiles with potential global reach, hypersonic weapons, autonomous underwater drones, and laser air defense systems. But this spectacle was more than just commemorating the war dead. It was an opportunity for Xi to take center stage.
I mean, the way this stuff works is like, the better your parade, the worse your military is on the ground. Low-key. That's at least how it's worked historically. I'm not saying that like the Chinese military doesn't have prowess or whatever, but they are objectively an untested military. Let's be real. This isn't to say like, I'm not doing like Western chauvinist copium or some shit, okay? I am in awe of what the Chinese government has been able to do in such a short period of time. And anyone who does not recognize that is unironically oblivious and are they're running on fumes basically at this point. Like they're dunking on us. They're dabbing on us. So, you know, parade looking cool aside, who knows how this stuff works, but obviously the Chinese military is seen as more of a deterrence force than one that is an offensive force that maintains a global imperialist interests, as is the case with the American military force. That is objectively true. Okay? That is objectively true. They don't use their military. Okay? They don't. So they're both pooing and peeing on you. No, they're dabbing on us. They're pooing on us. They're peeing on us. But ultimately, their military is not only just like a jobs program or whatever, but like also a deterrence force. Unexpected copium? It's not a dude. Anyone that says that the Chinese military is as battle tested as the American one is lying to themselves. History. Look at history. Yeah, we are untested because we're a peaceful nation. You are tested against farmers of Vietnam and herders of Afghanistan, and you lost against both. Sit down, says Top. There is a reason why, if in the absence of like air superiority and asymmetrical warfare, Hezbollah absolutely fucking makes mincemeat out of the Diaper Brigade, because the Diaper Brigade is a standing military that only works as an occupying force. They're only good against killing children. They're only good against like enemies who are babies in cribs. Okay? Hezbollah, on the other hand, has a fuck ton of military experience. So that plays a big role in the success of militia movements and the success of militaries in general. Having said that, America, just like the Diaper Brigade, also has a fuck ton of experience against a captive population that they've invaded and brutalized, that have no fucking anti-air defense systems, or air superiority is immediately established. So you know, wouldn't say the American military is all that mighty either, but it's certainly mightier, at least, or has more experience than has more experience than the Chinese military does, due to its imperial ambition.
Flanked by his powerful allies and neighbours, Russia's President Vladimir Putin and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. And the message was...
Dude, this is the funniest thing. People just getting mad about shit that I'm not saying, or literally misunderstanding the shit that I'm saying, and they're in agreement with me, but it doesn't matter. The U.S. has no experience against an evenly matched military. What are you talking about? Yeah, no shit, dude. That's what I'm saying. The last time that they had experience like that was the last honest war that America ever waged, which was World War II. I know. That's precisely my point. That's why I said even the American military is not as marvelous as they are as they are presented. No, you can't say Vietnam either. Now, obviously, it's a lie to say that the Vietnamese were just like rice farmers that wore sandals and shit. They also had a fairly competent standing military, a logistical supply hub that they used, the Ho Chi Minh Trail. They had weapons, anti-aircraft defenses that they got from the USSR. So obviously they had gear, but America still was able to establish air superiority over them. So there was asymmetrical warfare there as well. Okay. My point is they at least have like some experience. Like America has some experience in like waging war for imperialist ambitions. China, on the other hand, uses military prowess as like a main deterrence factor, and therefore doesn't have any military experience at all, even if it's against like an enemy that is, wearing sandals and flip-flops and shit. What is this? Drop 2 nukes on a surrendering country? Honest war? Okay, I'm talking about like the war waged against like a fucking equally competent military on a standing military of a fucking sovereign nation state that was objectively fascist and doing the Holocaust Japanese style or the Holocaust German style. Okay? Calm down, chatters. What is happening? Why are people like trying to misunderstand what I'm saying here?
Undeniable. Strength in solidarity and a challenge to the US-dominated world order.
Well, China's military power and preparedness is clearly on display for the world to see. What's happening on stage is just as important. The deepening ties between China, Russia and North Korea would certainly have some in Washington concerned.
No, that's the other thing. What do you mean concern? There's a different path here. Okay? You are the reason. America is quite literally the reason why this allegiance exists. Okay? That's it. That's literally it. The only reason why these guys from all around the world get together and they're like, fuck yeah, China, we love you. Or they say, oh yeah, Russia is actually doing the right thing in Ukraine. The only reason why they feel that way is because of America. Okay? That's it. If America wasn't as violent and consistently presented a lot of these countries, an increasingly growing number of countries of the global south as like their foreign adversaries, their enemies that must be fucking eviscerated and constantly fucking around, these guys would not have this network, this allegiance. In a way, it's like the Allied Axis front in World War II. It's not like a lot of these countries that were aligned with one another against Nazi Germany, for example, would have aligned regardless. You know what I mean? They would have probably been fine. I mean, they were objectively fine with what Nazi Germany was doing until they weren't. Okay? And in this circumstance, I'm not saying these guys are the Axis. I'm saying we are the Axis. Because just like in World War II, if you look at like the British Empire, or if you look at America's own domestic affairs, or if you look at the USSR, for example, there were plenty of fucking flaws there too. It was a target-rich environment all around, but they were objectively the good guys. Okay? I don't usually do the good guy, bad guy dynamic here, but like America's ambitions of expanding all around and being everywhere all at once with its military is part of the reason, and it's sanctions regimes against every fucking goddamn country on the planet is quite literally the reason why these guys are together hanging out. Okay? So when they say, oh, this is an alarming warning sign for America, it's like, no, man, this is America's chick is coming home to roost.
During his speech, Xi called upon the People's Liberation Army to accelerate its development into a world-class military and, quote, resolutely safeguard national sovereignty, unity and territorial integrity. A demonstration of might and capability that has the potential to back up Xi's vision of a new world order.
Now, interestingly,
don't care, go lick American D. What? What the fuck are you saying? Chatters are just like yelling at one another because they're misunderstanding. I just said the Allied forces had a litany of historic war crimes under their belt before they became the good guys in World War II. Okay? And then I said, right now, the Allied forces are the good guys in this this coalition that's building, even though they have their own personal war crimes under their belt or their own fucking domestic issues under their belt, their own versions of suppression. The increasing allegiances that are forming are forming on campus grounds, but one must ask the question, why this campus anti-West coalition is forming. And it is objectively because of the interventions, the unimaginable amount of interventions that have taken place around the world to prop up the U.S. empire, to prop up capitalism, to make sure that the unequal exchange between the global south and the global north, specifically Western nations that you would consider to be a part of the Western civilization, under the umbrella of American influence, have made sure that they have a steady flow of treats coming in. What is this? Are we the bad guys? No. 750 plus military bases. That's a problem. How? Because we don't want your American bases with American soldiers on our soil. Get the fuck out of my country, bitch. And he goes, this guy responds, too bad, buddy. Shouldn't have lost World War II. Now take the dick up your ass. Chatter, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm literally explaining to you what kind of enmity the rest of the world has towards the United States of America. If America charted a more peaceful path around the world and didn't consistently fucking intervene in the affairs of other countries in a very negative fashion, there probably wouldn't be so much enmity amongst this coalition that's forming against America. That's it.
15 minutes into the parade, President Trump took to social media and he took issue with China, saying that it had to give more credit to America, helping it in its victory against the Japanese back in World War II.
I think the faster we recognize that we no longer are the top dog and try to develop with the existing influence, the remaining influence that we have around the world, we try to develop a chart, a more peaceful path. The better things will be for everybody involved.
He then went on to accuse China, Russia, and North Korea of conspiring against the United States. Nate.
Anna Corin in Beijing, thank you.
Yeah, Americans who pride on their dick being shoved into countries' faces are very soon going to have it shoved in their mouth. The battleship is sinking fast. I don't even necessarily think that that's what's going to happen. Fuck it. I'm a gotta here. I don't want drama. I just want to say I'd rather have the U.S. as number one than China or Russia, historical, bloodthirsty countries. Yep. First of all, I'm not saying that these countries have not contributed to a lot of pain around the globe historically. But if you were to claim that the United States of America is historically a less bloodthirsty country, you must be oblivious to our own wonderful history, or rather, you just don't think that the historic enemies of America are comprised of real civilian, human being, civilian populations and are simply collateral damage, which is fine. That's, a lot of people who are pro-Israel also feel this way about the Palestinians, right? But that's it. That's where this attitude stems from. My argument is the American government and America should chart a more peaceful path for a less bloody tomorrow. And a lot of Americans seem to not realize that. They don't even recognize the harm that America's contributed to. Okay, bloodthirsty. I mean, China's engaged in some affairs that wouldn't be. I mean, it's nothing in comparison to what America's done around the world, but it's certainly, I mean, Pol Pot's a good example, which ironically enough, China was aligned with America on that one. But, compared to America, it's nothing, but still, it's not nothing in general. Yeah, China and USA are bloodthirsty is like both me and LeBron can play basketball. True.
It began with a deep hush across this historic square. A sense cannon fire was calling this country to attention.
You see all this in support of war criminal who murdered Iraqis for an adventure. Oh my God, brother.
Nothing short of utter perfection would have been acceptable here. Every flex, every gesture, even their height exactly matched. Tens of thousands marched to remember a world war where this country suffered so much, but under the eye of China's leading regime. Looking back is clearly not the key point. Indeed, this day was as much about this president as anything else. Greetings, comrades, he shouts. Greetings, President, the reply. This is a display of his military reforms, his iron control grip, and his...
I don't intend to change your political views, but perhaps I can convince you to dress appropriately for your age. What the fuck? I'm wearing a goddamn flannel. Top G. What do you mean by dress appropriately for your age? What do you want me to do? Wear the suit? Because I would love to. I need the Mao collar, baby. That's what I need. But like, I'm wearing a literal flannel. This is the most like my age dress I could ever dress up as.
His vision for where China goes next.
The Chinese nation is a great people who fear no tyranny and strive for self-reliance. The great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation is unstoppable. The noble cause of human peace and development will surely triumph.
And this is clearly part of that vision. Not just what's on show, but who came to see it. These were the images that will most likely make history. Vladimir Putin to his right, Kim Jong-un to his left. A clear signal of a trio in sync. It is remarkable messaging about allegiance and intent for three leaders who don't always agree. And it did not go unnoticed by the one man they probably hoped would be watching. Please give my warmest regards to Putin and Kim, posted Trump, as you conspire against the United States of America. There is nothing subtle about a display of new military hardware. War readiness, clearly the message. But it's one that they have at least attempted to temper. One of the few soldiers they allowed us to speak to was from the peacekeeping brigade.
We are holding this military parade to awaken our people's desire for peace. The Chinese military is committed to world peace, and we contribute to world peace. We will firmly fulfill our obligations as a major power.
There was an obvious pride for the lucky few able to come, amongst those who fought in particular, but a tight control of the narrative too. And the story about China they're telling.
It is unusual to be able to film here, to be able to see this up so close, and everything about it is designed to shock and awe. The precision is just remarkable. And while a lot of it is directed at the domestic Chinese audience, a homage to China's rise and the vision of President Xi, be in no doubt there is a clear message for the world too. And it is a message about Chinese power, the power of its military, the power of its allegiances, and the power of its politics.
At least here, it's a message that's landing.
I feel especially proud. As Chinese, living in such a great era, we take immense pride in it.
Very proud, very proud. I'm very, very honoured. It was very good.
Peace doves marked the end of proceedings, but this will not be the end of the story. It feels a little like something has shifted this week, and it may have shifted in favour of China. Helen Ann Smith, Sky News in Beijing.
Quite a lot has been on display. I mean, these governments always use these opportunities to show what they've got and that they ought to be taken seriously. And so they were showing their heavy MIRVs, multiple independently targeted re-entry vehicles, their ICBMs, which are the intercontinental ballistic missiles, and these are the sort of things that can reach any part of the world, really, the United States. They showed off their Air Force. That's the J-10, which has performed very well for India, actually, in the recent clash with Pakistan, and then the J-20s. The J-20s.
Damn, I thought that was fake news. What happened? I thought that shit was fake news, big dog. We are 100p getting smoked the next scrap we have with these motherfuckers. Bro, I just don't. I mean, at most, it'll be proxy shit, right? I don't think it's going to be a situation where they're like, two nuclear armed nations are going to be going, band for band like this.
Are the stealth fighters. A bit like the F-35 that we operate in Western countries. And the whole parade was designed to show both old and new equipment. So the equipment that we would expect them.
Xi should start the U.S. invasion with his baddie squad, then all libertarians will instantly give up and submit. Xi Jinping, women farm half the aura. Arguably in a proxy war already? I mean, that's more so like Russia versus the U.S. China is the senior partner backing Russia, but like they're nowhere near as actively as hands-on as like America is. America's giving direct weapons to Ukraine so that Ukrainians can defend themselves. Make no mistake. I'm not saying that like Russia is right here, but China is not like farming their new weapons to test it out on a fucking fresh new battlefield in Russian hands. Yeah, North Korea is more actively involved in this than China is for sure. Bro, what are these hats? This is so sick. Theatrics, nothing more. You're Israeli, so it's normal you'd be surprised at a military being used for non-violent purposes. You think China sent a few of its own into Ukraine along with the North Koreans just to see what was up? No, as far as I understand, the Chinese government has actively told Chinese citizens to not go to Ukraine. And the ones that have been killed in conflict are like mercenaries. That's so funny, though. Yeah, China sent in a couple Asian guys because no one will know the difference. With the North Koreans is crazy. Looks like a hat you would wear in the Australian outback. Proof China will invade Australia? What do you mean, will? The invasion happened already, my friend. Where do you think they got the hats? Australia already is a Chinese vassal state, and they're very fortunate because of their proximity. What is this, Tiffany Fong? Isn't this like a super racist person? Yeah. Why are you showing me this? Please stop. Gross.